Property developing can be a profitable career if you don't get personal. But that's exactly what Jonathan Tops did when he developed his first property 3 years ago. He just couldn't help himself. I think if you put a separate shower in, it's going to feel quite crowded, and it's actually quite a nice sized room. Jonathan, what's this?
That's, what is that? It's a shower.
Bought a shower. 18 months later, not a lot seems to have changed. So you've put in a separate shower cubicle. This week I'm in Sydenham, South London. 18 months ago, this was home to Jonathan Tops. He was looking for a new career as a property developer and hoped this house, which had been on the market for 6 months, would be his first success. Modernised Victorian properties are very popular in London, and this sort of house can be a developer's dream, but only if you can make a decent profit on it. So how much did you buy the house for?
127,500.
Right. How much do you plan on spending on it?
I think it's going to cost around about 20,000.
And how much do you reckon you'll be able to sell it for?
According to other properties on the street, about 170, I think.
So you aim to make 22,000
if I can.
Profit?
That'd be nice.
And is that a realistic resale figure, or is that optimistic?
Well, you've got to always err on the side of optimism. I'm an eternal optimist.
Okay, so it's extremely optimistic, is it?
I'll stop it. Yes, yeah, hopefully, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Jonathan sold a house last year, giving him £58,000 of capital. But before he could buy a new property, he lost his job in advertising. Now, after 6 months of living in a friend's spare room, he's itching to get back on the property ladder and become a full-time developer.
If I can set up in business fairly soon and start making a bit of money, then I should just about scrape through. I don't want to be a multi-millionaire, but I also don't want to be sort of on the poverty line. Just to be able to relax at night and think I'm okay.
Jonathan has a part-time job at the minute, and that plus bank loans and the money from the sale of his old house will pay for the development. The cost of the house is £127,500. That's cheap for London, but it does need a lot of work, and I'm concerned Jonathan's 6 months £20,000 development budget is optimistic. However, if all does go according to plan, and he sells for £170,000, he will make a profit of over £22,000. Very respectable for a first-time developer. Fabby wallpaper.
This has literally just gone up.
This development will be perfect for a young professional family, but it will need complete renovation. Upstairs there are 3 bedrooms ranging in size from comfortable to children and babies only. Downstairs is divided into 3 reception rooms. While at the back there's a tiny kitchen, and that leads onto a lean-to bathroom and WC. So you're taking the bathroom down and you're going to put the bathroom upstairs?
Yeah, it's got to go. It's an outside bathroom, effectively. It's got a plastic roof, and it's wooden walled, and it's no good. I'm going to sacrifice a bedroom upstairs for a bathroom. And the plan is to have the kitchen in this area, take the wall out and take the chimney breast out. So this becomes one large room.
Right.
And then there's an outside loo here, which I want to lose as well. And then up here, where all these polystyrene tiles are, I want to put a really big, nice skylight window in.
Losing the downstairs bathroom will immediately increase the appeal of this house, as will the knock-through kitchen. However, I think the idea of a skylight is a wasted investment. It won't actually add any value to the property. On the other hand, I'm very impressed by Jonathan's unusual plans for the reception rooms.
Well, originally, I was going to join these 2 lounges together. And I was going to have a wall, take this middle wall out. But at the weekend, I discovered that behind this wall here, I have some original banisters. And so I'd like to keep those. It'll mean that I don't knock through, which will save me a load of money. And it'll make this room, which at the moment is quite dark and enclosed, a lot brighter, more open, hopefully a nice dining room.
Yeah, cool.
And keep this
I'd
as a
agree.
separate lounge. Good.
I really do like Jonathan's thinking on this. It maximises the flexibility of this downstairs space, and keeping one reception room private should particularly appeal to parents. Upstairs, 2 of the bedrooms just need redecorating, whilst the back room will make way for a new bathroom. This does make sense for this market, as they will not appreciate the stairs should nature call in the middle of the night.
So what I'd like to do in here, and this is where advice will be useful, is have a walk-in shower and a bath.
I don't think the room's big enough to take it, and I think it, whilst you could have a nice sized bathroom,
Yeah.
with just a bath with a shower above and a door,
Yes.
I think if you put a separate shower in, it's going to feel quite crowded, and it's actually quite a nice sized
Okay.
room otherwise.
From a saleability point of view, any added value with putting in a walk-in shower? They're very nice, obviously.
Yeah, they're very nice. I personally think it would be a mistake to do it. At first glance, this house does look a perfect candidate for developing. As far as the market goes, it's in a good area. Sydenham is perfect for starter families, a young professional couple with 1 or 2 children, or a baby on the way. It's close to some very nice parks, and yet it's still less than half an hour to the centre of London. This affordable house has the potential to be a dream home, and it seems to me Jonathan does have the enthusiasm, the vision and the plans to make this conversion work. But, and it's a very big but, developing is all about making profit, and I think this house is a bad investment. I think that your resale price is a teeny tad optimistic.
Yeah.
Therefore, it's important to try and keep the costs as low as possible.
Yeah. Do you think I've paid too much? Bearing in mind I'm going to have to spend, realistically, around about £20,000 on it.
I don't think anyone who was professionally developing
In their
would
right
be
mind, you
able
were going to say. You were going to say in their right mind.
anyone who had a brain
Half a
would
brain.
actually have bought it, really.
That's why it was on the market for so long.
Yeah, 'cause
They
it-
just had no imagination.
Jonathan hasn't paid the right price for this house. The tired decoration and unmodernised interior may make it look like an ideal developing opportunity. But it will need a lot of work to bring it up to scratch. However, he could make this project work, but as I'm also concerned about his resale price, the only way to protect his profit is to cut back on his £20,000 budget. He's set aside £10,000 for modernising the house, including rewiring, new central heating and changing the layout. £4,000 is earmarked for the new kitchen area, whilst moving the bathroom upstairs is budgeted at £1,500. £3,750 will go on finishing the development, including built-in wardrobes, paint and the garden. Jonathan also has another £1,000 in the kitty for contingencies, bringing his development costs to just over £20,000. I think that it's completely essential that you get these costs down as much as possible to stand a realistic chance of actually making a profit.
Okay.
There you can lose the skylight, that's the first thing you can lose on that. And you may not need to repoint it entirely, I think it only needs patch pointing.
Right.
But I'm more worried about what's not on the list. Do you have the stamp duty when you bought it and solicitor's costs when you bought it?
No.
Okay, well let's just pretend.
Yeah. No, we forget about those sort of things.
Do we?
Yeah, no, I know we don't. But I don't sort of see them as house costs now, because that's done.
Do you know roughly how much the costs were when you did move in?
Solicitor's fees were about £400.
And stamp
Duty,
must have been...
I didn't have to pay any because I bought it, not selling it.
No, you buy it, pay for it when you buy it, not
No,
when
you
sell
pay for it when you sell it.
No, when you buy it.
Sell it.
Buying it. You will have paid it, your solicitor wouldn't have let you buy it without paying
Stamp
it.
duty. Did I? I can't remember what I paid.
Yeah, and then when the next person buys it, they have to pay stamp duty.
I'm not that organised.
Okay. I think I see a major problem here. Jonathan has the creative vision to be a developer, he just hasn't got to grips with the financial side of things. And you can't have one without the other.
I'm not really thinking like a developer, am I?
No. I also think he hasn't realised just how bad a state the house is in. The roof in particular looks like it's had its day. Did you have a survey mortgage cost? Did you?
I had a basic survey, yeah, because I knew that everything needed doing.
And did you read that through?
I did, yeah. It told me pretty much everything that I knew. It's an old house, it's in need of total renovation. It's essentially sound, but it's been left. Yeah. So, and that's really all it said.
I think it needs re-roofing. Myself. To get the maximum sale value.
Yeah.
By my reckoning, Jonathan could already be £10,000 over budget, and he's only just started. Things aren't looking good. "18 months ago, Jonathan Tops bought this Victorian house in South London for £127,500. He hoped it would launch his new career as a property developer, but 3 weeks in, his profit is already under threat. However, he still can make this project work if he cuts back on his £20,000 development budget. Unfortunately, that budget is now full of holes, a bit like the roof.
How bad is it?
Well, basically, just by looking at it, it's come to the end of its natural life.
Yeah.
You've got cracked slates there all the way down. As you see, you've got another cracked one over there. And there goes part of your roof once again. But it's best really heck the whole lot out, redo them all again.
Sure. Thanks very much. I don't know what I'm thanking you for. It's going to cost me a bloody fortune. He's quoted £4,500, which I think is reasonable. It sounds fair to me. Budget was 20, so it's another £4,500 on top.
If only Jonathan had spent a few £100s on the right survey, he would have known the roof needed replacing before he bought the house. It could have saved him thousands. Before buying a property to develop, it's crucial that you know what work needs to be done in order to maximise your profit. The safest way to avoid making a big mistake is to pay for a full survey. Jonathan did have a valuation survey. It's the one insisted upon by the mortgage lenders, but it's next to useless for a new property developer. All it effectively does is tell your lender if they'll get their money back should they have to repossess the property. New developers should always go for at least a building survey, also known as a flat or home buyer survey. This fuller report on your property costs between £500 and £800, but the surveyor should list everything that needs to be done to the house and give you an honest evaluation as to how much it's likely to cost. This is not only useful for budgeting, it can also be used as a negotiating tool to get some money off the price. Jonathan originally planned to spend £20,000 on the development. The new roof means that figure is now closer to £30,000 if you include professional fees and loan repayments. But he can still make a £12,000 profit if he sticks to this new budget. However, he's starting to buy expensive extras that I feel are luxuries for a house of this price.
20 mil double glaze unit, 4 mil inch paint, 12 mil gap, clear flow glass.
He's making the classic mistake of buying things for himself, not his target market of a young family. The skylight fitted wardrobes and a separate shower will not necessarily add to his selling price, but they will eat into his small budget. His best friend Helen, an interior designer, recognises this, but can't persuade him that a walk-in shower is a waste of money.
Sarah said no.
Right. Why?
Because I run a lot and cycle a lot.
Yeah, but it's not your house. I think you can get some really good showers fitted in the end of the bath that will do just the same sort of job.
Don't like them, don't like them, don't like them.
You're not getting emotionally attached now, are you?
No.
I think you are.
Might be.
Great. So he's now bought two things I told him not to.
I can hear Sarah saying it. Well, he didn't listen to
Well,
my
I don't
advice.
care about her because she's smaller than me.
Jonathan, what's this?
That's, what is that? Yes, a shower.
Bought a shower.
Did I order that?
You're
I don't
putting a shower
recall.
in then, are you?
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank
How
you.
much did it cost then?
Well, in true womanly terms, it's not what I spent, it's what I saved.
Right.
So the bath and the sink and the toilet and everything are all ex-display,
Right.
which means they were less than half price.
Yeah.
So that meant I could afford to have the shower and still spend less money.
But you
than
could
I
have
would
still saved money, more money.
I love showers and I hate baths.
But the point is that
I know, no, not another word.
you're wrong.
Jonathan has wasted an ideal opportunity to save some money, and he really needs to. One of the reasons he's so attached to these extras is that he's lived in a friend's spare room for the past 6 months. He can't help but buy things for his own vision of the perfect house. It's understandable, but it doesn't work if he wants to be a property developer.
You know, and I'm not saying that the house isn't going to be beautiful, because I'm quite certain it is. But at the end of the day, you have to work out whether you're doing this for profit or whether you're doing it because it's your home and you just like it like that.
There's a bit of that in it, but then I think you do need to put something of yourself into a property. If you don't, I think it
But not to
looks soulless, it feels soulless.
But not to replace the profit.
No.
What's bothering me is, as the costs go up, obviously the resale price stays where it is, and your profit margin, which was small, is sort of disappearing almost.
Jonathan needs reminding just how much he can expect to get for his development. If only to stop his budget rising so much he spends all his profit. That means checking out the market, and we're starting with a similar-sized house further up Jonathan Street.
So what do you reckon?
Looking at the property around about sort of late 160s, maybe even 170.
Do you think?
Round about cheap in 165.
Having seen Jonathan's house on the other side of the road, do you think that that would be worth...
How much? Same as this. If you'd done it sort of, I'm sure it'd be as nice as this, but around about the same sort of price. Definitely sort of put it on the market for 170.
If I could get to 180, then I'll be delighted, absolutely delighted, but I do need to be realistic.
Yeah, because every area is going to have its ceiling, every street's going to have its ceiling level, and that's obviously what it is, it's 170.
The news hasn't been good for Jonathan, who's funding this development with a part-time job. However, he could still make a profit of £10,000 if he stops spending and sells at the ceiling price of £170,000. But to get that top price, his house will have to be irresistible to his target market of a family. The kitchen will play a key part in this, but I think he is not making the best use of the available space.
We spoke to the guys who are going to be putting the kitchen in a little while ago when this wall was here. And I thought if I have a unit, a work unit there with a fridge freezer underneath, it means it's a breakfast bar, so people could eat there if they wanted to.
Why do you want to carve the room in half? That seems such a shame. Now you've got a nice room.
Because I wanted to have like almost a kitchen diner, so that wanted to be like a garden room.
Jonathan's idea for a breakfast bar looks fine on paper, but in 3 dimensions, the problem becomes immediately apparent. Having knocked down a wall in here to maximise the feeling of space, Jonathan will effectively be putting up another one. It will cut the kitchen in two, diminish the effect of the French windows, and make the room so small you couldn't have a table. It could alienate a large part of his market.
I'm just concerned about having a breakfast bar carving this room in half. It's not that big a room, and once you've got a kitchen units here, you then have a space for a table and chairs.
No,
more
this is not going to be the dining room. This is just going to be
but that's how
a little
people
breakfast
live
room, I suppose.
But that's how people really live in a house, don't they? They eat in their kitchen nowadays.
I don't know, because this room next door is as close to my kitchen as that room is, but I wanted that as like the garden room, so you could sit and have drinks or nibbles and snacks, but eat in there.
Jonathan feels his dining area will be perfect because it's right beside the kitchen. But that's not the same as being in the kitchen, and that's important, particularly to parents of young children. I feel versatility is the key, and he should have units either side, leaving the space at the back for a sofa or a table. In other words, the kitchen dining area the modern family wants. But sometimes you can be too close to something to see the most obvious solution.
If I put table and chairs in there, then I've got a spare room effectively next door. I don't want to have 2 sets of dining
surely whoever buys it they're going to want to have it flexible space, and it's not flexible. You're deciding that they're not going to have.
But don't you think this would feel like a corridor, though? If I had like kitchen units this side, kitchen units the other side, you'd just be sort of walking through the kitchen to get somewhere else, almost.
No, because then you'd go past the table.
Jonathan has to make this house appeal to his market. It's crucial he sells at the ceiling price of £170,000 if he's to salvage a profit from this project. But even then, that profit could be lost because he's still not budgeting properly.
You still don't have your legal costs in here,
No, you don't.
or your stamp duty for buying it,
No, I don't.
or your estate agent's fees for selling it.
No.
You need to make a profit, and there's only any point in making a profit if it's a real profit, and it's not a real profit if you don't add on all your costs, because then it's a fake profit and you've just invented a profit for yourself. So if you've got to have all those costs in, you've got to see the total, because you're going to come in at about 160,000 all in the costs, aren't you? Once you bought it,
130, 140, 155.
plus the selling fees and stamp duty.
Yes, of
and
course.
solicitors.
Okay, yeah.
So it'll be 160,000 at the moment.
Yes. Well,
He really can't spend any more than £160,000 if he's to have any chance of a decent profit. And there's now something else that could threaten this development.
I've got 2 full-time jobs now. One full-time job is doing the house, the other full-time job is finding another job because I lost it yesterday.
Oh no, that's awful actually. So you've lost your job and you're trying to set up this house with no income at all.
Yeah, none.
I'm now seriously worried for Jonathan's development. It's the end of March in Sydenham, South London, and Jonathan Tops is halfway through his 6-month development. He's £14,000 over budget, and the now unemployed Jonathan is relying on his savings to finish the job. Along with his interior designer friend Helen, he's creating a home that should appeal to a young professional family.
Gender specific.
Not a little girly? Sort of.
If it was pink, it'd be girly, but I don't think it is. I think it's
But being out of work hasn't stopped him spending, and his budget is continuing to rise.
We sell a lot of those fireplaces to Victorian Edwardian
So
terrace
that wouldn't look
properties. No, not at all.
His profit is slipping away, but Jonathan feels his luck is about to change, because the end of March sees Sydenham declared a property hotspot.
They're saying that scientists think they have cracked the formula for predicting where property values will rise. They've put in something like 155 separate statistics to come up with places that are up. And on the up, Sydenham.
No.
SE26.
No. And there it is, look.
Yeah, I know.
Oh, fantastic. Well, that makes you feel a bit more positive, doesn't it?
Yeah. It's surprising.
Maybe you should laminate that and have that on the front door every time you come in with your little glum face, and you'll think,
That's it.
This upturn in Sydenham's fortunes could save Jonathan's development. I really hope it does, because the house is coming along brilliantly.
Wow, let's see, I want to see it.
Okay. Where do you want to go?
Oh my word. Wow. And you put the skylight in there.
Yeah, wait for it. Good idea, bad idea?
It looks great. I mean, it absolutely looks fantastic. I still don't think you needed to do it,
No.
but it does look amazing.
The structural changes have opened up this once dark claustrophobic building, with the kitchen area now very much the focus of the house. My only concern here is the proposed breakfast bar, which I feel would once again cut this room in two.
Last time I saw you, you were going to have a peninsula unit in the middle of the kitchen. Have you decided to go with that?
Against it.
You're going against it?
Yeah.
What a good boy.
Taking your advice. We'd worked it all out, designed it with the kitchen guys and everything, and it did fit. But then I got a load of timber, planks of wood and cardboard boxes and everything, and effectively built the kitchen.
So you built a Blue Peter kitchen?
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Fantastic.
But it worked. It really worked.
What a good idea. That's brilliant.
Because I had marked it out on the floor, but from down there to up here is a big, big difference. And so it would have come to about here. And the gap was going to be bigger than a conventional door, but it would have made it a little bit of a chicane to get through and out.
Credit where credit's due. By losing the breakfast bar, Jonathan is offering his market the maximum amount of flexibility. He might not want to use the space at the back for a table, but now he's giving the option to whoever buys the house. Upstairs, Jonathan's new bathroom is also taking shape, including the walk-in shower I've always felt was a wasted investment.
There's enough space for it.
Yeah. I still think that you would have sold the house for the same amount of money without a separate shower.
You're probably right.
And therefore it wasn't necessary to do it in terms of property developing. But whoever buys this house is going to love you for it.
You can't fault the redesign of this house, but good design is only part of successful developing. At the end of the day, it's about making a profit, and that's where we have a problem. Jonathan still has a very selective approach to budgeting.
I started out at 20, and it's probably going to go to something like 28, something like that. But I had the roof, remember, which I wasn't bargaining for.
And is 28,000 including the fees?
No, haven't included that, obviously. I never do, you know that. I never include the fees, I just forget about those.
So we're talking about kind of 33, 34, probably.
Will it be that much? Yeah, probably. Yeah. Realistically, yes, it will be.
Are you a bit scared by the amount you've gone up?
Don't think about it. No, because I've got to keep going.
But it is nearly half your budget again you've spent, isn't it?
It's a learning process. This is the first one I've done, so get on with it.
Learning the importance of financial planning has been a painful process for Jonathan, but he is doing something about it by enrolling in a part-time business course.
Without doing this, I would just go into the business, I think, sort of blind in a way, not knowing anything about costs involved, people you need to inform as to when you're starting up, i.e. the Inland Revenue, Social Security. There are different levels of national insurance, which one you should be paying, what you need to pay in order to keep your pensions going and all this sort of stuff, state pensions. Just vast amounts of information.
I hope this course will change the way Jonathan deals with his finances. This project has to work if he's to continue being a developer. Jonathan's now almost £15,000 over his planned redevelopment costs. But with no job, he's having to use savings to pay off his loans. And as the budget continues to rise, the savings are dwindling.
I'm starting to feel the strain somewhat. On the days that I come down the house, I come down as early as I do because the time I spend lying in bed just worries me. And it's not particularly pleasant. A pleasant feeling. I don't like it at all. I'm used to being employed, and this unemployment, it's dreadful. It really, really shakes your confidence.
Every development includes bouts of depression, so it's important Jonathan realises just how far he's come in the last 4 months.
This is this room. Before it was like this. Look at that.
It was so tiny. It felt so small.
So small.
And now it feels like cavernous.
And it's about to feel even better, as the made-to-measure kitchen has now arrived. In fact, the whole house is now in its final few weeks of being transformed from a run-down wreck into a bright, modern family home.
At the end of today, I'll be able to make a cup of tea in a kitchen, and I can even have a shower because I finished the shower over the weekend, or a bath, or go to the loo. I mean, the world is my oyster. I will not want to work again.
But this flurry of activity has pushed Jonathan's budget even higher.
After all this time, I can have a shower.
The total redevelopment costs are now edging towards the £40,000 mark, twice his original estimate. The obvious solution would be to sell the house and clear his debts, but there's a problem. The last time his house was valued, the estate agents told him he'd be lucky to get £170,000 for his development. That would give him a profit of barely £2,000 for 6 months' hard work.
Good job. Cool. I'm going to get a lot less work done now.
The house will be the best in the street, but is that enough to save his new career as a property developer? July, and after 6 months' hard work, the finishing touches are being added to Jonathan Top's Sydenham development.
Look at this, isn't that lovely?
I know. Yeah, skinned it yesterday.
The house is now everything he could ever have hoped for, but it's come at a price. The original budget is only a dim and distant memory.
No one irons the duvets anyway.
Well, boys don't.
You iron your duvet?
Of course I am my duvet. It's really important.
Yeah.
Jonathan had originally planned to spend £20,000 on this development, but the costs have spiralled. In the end, he spent over £8,000 more than he expected on modernisation. The kitchen costs have gone up by £1,000. Yet surprisingly, the bathroom has come in at £100 under, although he would have saved even more if he hadn't bought the shower. However, finishing touches have increased by almost £700. Finally, Jonathan has set aside £1,000 for unexpected costs, but that wasn't nearly enough to cover the cost of a new roof. This brings the total of the renovation to over £35,000. But if you include professional fees and loan repayments, which you always should, the total cost of developing the house rises to £42,069, over twice Jonathan's original estimate. The big question has to be, is it worth it? Outside, the new roof and repainted windows offer a hint of the transformation this house has undergone. But it's only when you go inside that you realise Jonathan has created the perfect first home for a starter family. The dark, claustrophobic jumble of rooms is gone, replaced by a bright, airy interior, with an open-plan dining room and the kitchen and garden beyond. Jonathan's clever reorganisation of the downstairs space means the front room becomes a grown-up sanctuary, an oasis of calm where parents can escape to of an evening. The rest of the downstairs is family heaven. The back of the house has been transformed beyond recognition. This kitchen diner's simple layout is the best use of the available space. And the deceptively spacious dining area leading onto the garden could sell the property by itself. The low-maintenance garden is another selling point. Few flats in this price bracket could offer such a large, secure outside area. Once again, it's perfect for the family market, although the hammock will appeal to any buyer. Getting rid of the makeshift lean-to bathroom has allowed Jonathan to realise the full potential of this garden. He's had to lose a bedroom upstairs, but the new bathroom that takes its place means he won't lose a single penny on his sale price. The feel of the house is perfect. It may be painted in neutral tones, but the variety of colours adds to its character. The original features that have remained add to the overall effect. This house should sell itself.
Oh, it's looking fantastic.
It's a beautiful family home, but is it a successful development? Jonathan bought the house for £127,500 and budgeted £20,000 to redevelop it. But the final costs are more than double that. So his total investment in the property is £169,500. But during the development, estate agents weren't optimistic about a much higher sale price.
170 would be the max.
All right.
A sale at £170,000 would give Jonathan a profit of only £500.
So, Jonathan, you bought the house for £127,500.
Yes.
And you were originally planning on spending £20,000 doing it up.
Yeah.
To then end up spending over double
Yeah.
what you originally intended to spend. Now, I accept that some of that is because you weren't realistic with your original budget.
Yeah, that's the inexperience.
Yeah, but I would have thought you could have saved at least £10,000 and therefore made £10,500 profit if you hadn't bought certain things for the house, which you really bought for yourself.
I think the difficulty is that trying not to do things that you like.
Oh yes, that
is so
that's
hard
the age
to
old.
detach yourself from it. So hard. It's a big learn, and I've learned, and that costs, doesn't it?
Absolutely, I totally agree.
My instincts tell me that Jonathan should sell now, clear all his debts and start a new project with a clean slate. But I really want him to come out of this with more than £500. On the plus side, Sydenham has become a property hotspot where prices are rising fast. And although I would never recommend relying on the market for a profit, could an estate agent now sell this house for more than £170,000?
Decided to keep separate dining room and lounge.
I think that's quite wise. If you do have children or a child, you've got a room that you can actually shut off from the rest of the house. They've got plenty of space out there, and this is just your haven, really.
You've got everything you need as a guest room or as, you know, the children's room or whatever. You've got ample space.
It's good that you've managed to get the shower in here as well.
You like that?
Again, with professional young couples, which is a type of market I think you're looking at, they're really going to appreciate something like that.
Now is the time that you can ask the very best price.
Yeah.
And I think at 179,950 we wouldn't be too far out.
The market is very strong now. The way your house is looking, I'd definitely say to you, you could market it for about 190, maybe even 195. You've got a huge falling love factor here,
Okay.
and there's every chance that somebody will come in, look at it and say, well look, you know, we love it. And I would certainly say to you a marketing figure in excess of 195, somewhere around a figure of 196, 950.
Remember, this price rise is mainly due to the booming property market, not what Jonathan's done to the house. But if he could sell for almost £197,000, he'd make over £27,000 profit. Most of that profit would be eaten up by buying his next property, as the whole market will have risen by a similar amount. But if Jonathan sells now, he can pay off his loans and put his newfound experience to work on his next project. However, there's a problem.
At the moment, I'm in a bit of a difficult position because I can't afford to sell. I'm unemployed. I lost my job a little while ago. So if I sell, I won't get another mortgage. So I kind of have to hang on to it until my circumstances change, which enable me to get another mortgage. So I can't afford to buy and I can't afford to sell. It's kind of odd.
I can understand that. It's a shame because, like I say, it is the time to sell.
I can understand why Jonathan feels he can't sell right now, but he needs to if he wants to maximise his profit. He's paying out a fortune in loan and mortgage repayments, and that eats into any profit he'll make. And despite being temporarily unemployed, I think most banks would be eager to strike a deal with him.
How much capital do you have in this, though, if you sold it?
100,000.
But that would be plenty to be able to put a down payment on a non-status mortgage. You only need 20 or 30% capital to put down on a non-status mortgage.
And that would be enough for the banks or building society to be happy for you to take something else on, even though as freelance don't have an income.
Yeah.
They would do that.
They would do that. And at the end of the day, you either are developing or not developing. And if you are developing, you need that capital out to do another deal that's going to be as good as this, but you won't spend as much money, you won't get as personal, you'll buy it for less, and you'll really, really make your £20,000 proper profit. And maybe you'll make £20,000 on another rising market as well. But you'll have made £20,000 real profit. And that's what developing is about.
In fact, it was another 18 months before he finally did put it on the market. Somehow life got in the way and he was kept busy elsewhere, acquiring a wife and soon followed by a new baby. In that time, the market rose considerably, and although you should never rely on that happening, luckily for Jonathan, this time it did pay off. By holding on to the development until January 2004, he managed to sell for a staggering £205,000, walking away with a profit of just over £35,000.
I was really pleased with the profit that I made in the end. At one point it was down to about £500 because of the market and what I'd spent, but ultimately it was a good profit that I came away with, and I'd like to think that it wasn't entirely down to a rising market.
The search for his next development could now begin. Priced out of the London market, he decided to look further afield, settling on the town of Stroud in Gloucestershire.
I knew the area quite well from when I was a student. I spent 2 years studying in Gloucester, and we had friends who lived out this way, so it was a fairly easy place to come to because we already knew a little bit about it.
Again, Jonathan's chosen well. Right on the edge of the beautiful Cotswolds, yet minutes from the M5, Stroud is a popular choice for home buyers. Even so, with the market starting to slow down across the country, it's more important than ever to buy the right property and pay the right price. After just 3 weeks scouring the local market, Jonathan finds just the property. A rundown semi in dire need of modernisation, but with great scope to extend.
It was in a good location, good village, good views, space for development, and had been largely untouched.
He bought it for £204,000. His budget is £120,000. He hopes to sell it for £400,000, which would give him a healthy profit of £76,000. Jonathan has big ideas. He believes he can completely transform this tired old property into a stunning 5-bedroom house by adding a huge 3-storey extension, extending the kitchen into the old coal shed, converting the loft and building a new garage. This is an ambitious project, and although he will have to bring in a team of builders, he will do as much as he can himself.
Saves enormously in terms of costs because so much of the work I take on myself, it works really well for us. Saves a fortune.
And it seems he's also picked up some tricks to keep the costs down.
Nice range. Can I get a reasonable discount from you based upon the volume of stuff that I'm actually buying?
7 months later, and with a small pair of helping hands, he is putting the final touches to the development. The house is unrecognisable. I can't wait to see the end result. Hi, how are you?
Very well, how are you?
This is an exciting development. It's really grand, doesn't it?
Yeah, well, we built the decking at the front, and rather than using conventional decking, we use scaffolding planks to make it a bit bigger and wider and weightier, but also a lot cheaper.
Yeah.
And it kind of sort of sets it off, it just balances it out a little bit.
I couldn't agree more. Jonathan has done wonders to the front of this property. And as lots of viewers decide to buy before they even walk through the front door, it's important to make sure your property appeals from the road, especially in a stagnant market. Excellent, let's see inside. The extension along the side of the house has created a spacious and inviting living area. And the log-burning stove works as a focal feature. At the back of the house, the old kitchen has been extended back into what was the old coal shed. The result is a stunning new kitchen diner. It's exactly what a modern family looks for, but I'm wondering what lessons he's learned from his previous experience. Were you tempted to put a breakfast bar in it all?
Not for a moment, no.
Great.
The room works really well as a U-shape, so we left it like that.
Yes. But you couldn't resist putting skylights in again?
No, but there is a good reason. On this development, we're on quite a steep hill, and that's west-facing, and the sun sets really early in the evening, and so it gets quite dark at that end of the house, so we thought that for the sake of this room, it would be a good thing to do.
But would you accept that actually, strictly in terms of development, it probably wasn't necessary?
Definitely. I mean, you're right. You are right. I know that.
But you couldn't resist it anyway?
No.
The skylights look good, but they are an unnecessary cost, which will once again eat into his profits. And the kitchen's not the only room where he's given in to temptation.
And I notice you've put in a separate shower cubicle.
We have. I did listen to what you said last time, but this is a much bigger development.
I mean, I have to say, I will let you have this one. Because I do think it is right that in a bigger house, it's more appropriate to have a separate shower cubicle.
This time round, Jonathan has made some good decisions. He's got 3 good-sized double bedrooms and a family bathroom on the first floor. The loft conversion has a further 2 bedrooms, making this house perfect for the family market. Again, the finish is superb, but it looks as though it's come at a price.
You were planning on spending 120 doing it up. How much did you end up spending?
130.
Right, so where did you run over?
Well, £10,000, most of that went on the garage.
Did you include the fees this
Of course,
time?
we did. Yeah.
You did?
We did.
Excellent.
Jonathan originally wanted to make a £76,000 gross profit, which means he needs to sell the house for £400,000. But I don't know whether he's done enough to reach that sale price.
This is a fantastic room. This is really what buyers want at the moment. The open plan living space. You can dine, you've got the kitchen, you've got a seating area.
Converting the attic into 2 extra double bedrooms and a bathroom, fantastic usage of space.
The attention to detail on this property is fantastic. The working fireplace is a real gem.
Having an ensuite bathroom off the main bedroom is what every buyer is looking for.
I would recommend an asking price of £370,000.
In today's market, I'd recommend putting it on at £365,000.
We've had 2 valuations and they came in at 365 and 370,000. How do you feel about that?
A little more would have been nice. I think it would always be nice. But we've still made money at that. And we've actually made money in a very static market.
So the 400,000 was slightly banking on a rising market, was it?
I think traditionally, over the last sort of 8 to 10 years, the market has risen gradually. And so, yeah, I mean, you do expect, you shouldn't do, but you do to a certain extent, but the fact that we've made money without that is really good.
I think it just goes to prove how important it is that you don't bank on a rising market when you're developing, because it is a very quick way to come very unstuck.
Credit where credit's due, Jonathan will have made a £36,000 gross profit despite the market if he sells for the top valuation of £370,000, which is more than can be said of last time.
So what does the future hold?
Well, we're still going to keep buying houses to do up and live in and create home, but in terms of full-time development, I don't think so.
So developing is not for you, but what advice would you give to somebody who was planning on developing?
Buy at the right price, get a survey done, don't personalise it, no skylights, no showers, no dodgy roofs.
Oh my goodness, you sound like me.
Well, maybe I did learn a little bit of something from you.
Learning from your mistakes is one of the advantages of moving on to a second development, and it always pays to remember some basic rules.
The key to successful property developing is buy at the right price, stick to your budget and sell quickly. Jonathan didn't manage to do this on his first project, but he came closer on his second. And if you stick to these basic principles, you can make money whatever the state of the market.